my God, why? On Good Friday, it is difficult to know where to begin. My God, why have you forsaken me? The Hebrew Psalmist's cry ought to be enough. My God, why have you forsaken me? But on Good Friday, which is anything but good, it is my own selfish cry, my God, why? Which seems like as good a place as any to begin. But then there's nothing really good about Good Friday, not even where we begin, which is, of course, in agony. So let us not begin with the my part of this plea for answers, but with the God part. God, such a little word for the mystery which lies at the very heart of all that is, was, and evermore shall be, the mystery in which we live and move and have our being, the mystery which it has being in, with, through, and beyond us, the mystery responsible for the creation of the cosmos, and therefore the one which must be beyond the beyond and beyond that also, certainly the one beyond any and all words any one of us can utter. This one is the one to which, when all is said and done, when the worst of all possible things happens, this is the one to which each of us cry, which in and of itself makes us all one. My God, why? And so, like his ancestors before him and those who will follow in his wake, when the worst of all things happens to him, Jesus cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me? So let the reality of the mystery of our God move us beyond the details articulated with mere words to that story, so that we might catch a glimpse of the why of it all. Why death? Why not just any death, which must come to us all? But why death? Why such needless death? And at the hands of ourselves, why such a violent death? My God, why? Why violence? Violence, the word we use to describe the physical force used to cause injury, damage, or death. Violence we can define. Violence we can know. We can put it into words. Perhaps more importantly, violence we can feel. We can feel it when it is applied to our person, and worse yet, we can feel it when it rises up in us. Violence is all too familiar, for violence, too, has the power to make us one. One when we are perpetrating violence, one when we perish from violence inflicted upon us, and one in our fear of violence. Violence disturbs our peace, and violence motivates our desire to become strong and powerful enough to resist the violence of others. No wonder our ancient ancestors imagined the mystery responsible for the creation of the cosmos as superheroes, powerful enough to save them, those mere mortals, from violence. My God, why? My God is bigger than your God. My God's violence can beat your God's violence. My Father can beat up your Father. My God will not forsake me. And if your violence is stronger than my violence, it is not because your God is strong and my God is weak. For surely therein lies the despair which leads only to madness, the kind of madness in which we are consumed by our fears. My God is stronger than your God. But within our fear, that's where violence gestates. Surely any defeat is not down to the power of your God, but rather to some offense or other which we have given to our God, who, because of such an offense, our God has chosen to forsake us. And there you have it, our need to placate the power of the one who is. What can we offer to placate the anger of such a one? What will return our God to our side to ensure our victory? What can we mortals offer to make atonement with the Holy One? Questions heaped upon questions as one violent tragedy leads to another. Our historians, our archaeologists, and our anthropologists can point to the sacrifice of humans to their gods, here, there, and everywhere. Sacrifice, which literally means to make holy, sacrum facere, to restore to wholeness our relationship with that which is beyond our words. So it is beyond the words themselves to the stories handed down from one fear-filled generation to another that we must turn with the same old question, my God, why? Why have you forsaken us in favor of them? Our Hebrew ancestors tell the story, told to end the violence born of fear's attempt to sacrum facere, to make sacred. It is a story told by the wisdom bearers of old to put an end to human sacrifice. Abraham, the father of nations, learned the difficult lesson of the one who is beyond our fear, Yahweh, the great I am, the one who will be. It is a story which was told to put an end to human sacrifice, in which the son, Isaac, is spared the violent death, the making holy by the offering of a life, the spilling of blood to placate a divinity which has no need of sacrifice. But the wisdom of moving beyond our fear, beyond our primitive attempts to placate the ultimate power, which somehow in our fear-filled minds needs the most precious thing we can offer, life itself, placed upon the altar of our fear. The wisdom of forsaking violence as the answer is stillborn, killed in us by the very fears which gave it birth. So another story is born. A story designed to turn our ways of thinking upside down, a parable, if you will, the parable of Jesus. Not a parable told by Jesus, but rather the parable of Jesus, the story of a life and death. For you can't have one without the other. The story of a life and death told to put an end to making violence holy. The end of the sacrum facere, the end of holy violence. As the story is told over and over again, the great I am, the Father of fathers, is cast as both the recipient and the giver. Indeed, even as the instigator of an act so horrendous in its violence that surely it will put an end to making violence holy. For even if the myth of Abraham and Isaac, a myth designed to carry the truth that violence cannot make our fear holy in order to create peace. For the one who we call God cannot, by refusing such a sacrifice, convince us to put an end to human sacrifice. Perhaps in the sacrifice of God's own beloved Son, we can see the inability of such violence to make anything at all holy. So the parable of Jesus is born. It is told over and over again by our ancestors, a parable created to put an end once and for all to violence. A parable in which Jesus lives within the brutality of violence, refusing to become violent, while all the while pointing to the I am as one who has no need of our sacrifices. For Jesus came not to participate in violence or to be sacrificed by violence. Jesus came that we might have life and live it abundantly, life and not death. The choice is ours, and we have made it. We choose not Jesus' life, but his death. Glorifying the violence once again, we offer a blood sacrifice to placate our too small God. Despite Jesus' insistence that violence is not the answer, despite everything Jesus lived for in every act of nonviolent resistance, we refuse to see that for Jesus, justice is the only way to make things holy. Justice and not violence is the only way to peace. In glorifying the violence which killed Jesus, we can't see the parable of Jesus, a parable designed to move us away from sacrificing human lives to violence born of fear. Look beyond the violence to the life of Jesus, and you will see a human being struggling to move beyond the notion that violence can save us from what we fear most in life. Only love can save us. For if the life of Jesus teaches us anything, it is that love conquers fear. Jesus embodied that love, insisting that I and Abba, the Father, I and Abba are one. You and I and the love we call God, we are one. Nothing can separate us from this love, not even death. The parable of Jesus is the story of a life which embodies love, the love which continues to allure us beyond our fear, beyond our violence, beyond death itself. Jesus saw a divinity which was more than the sum of our fear. Jesus called us to a vision of the holy, which invites us to forego violence as the answer to our fear, a vision of the holy which offers justice and not violence as the way beyond our fears into the peace that we long for. Like all parables, there is a twist, a moment when our expectations are turned upside down. Along the way, Jesus embodies love, calls for justice as the way to peace, and steadfastly refuses to resort to violence, no matter how fearful his oppressors become. Jesus' embodiment of love gives us a glimpse of love's life in the world. This parable of love in the flesh opens us to the possibility of a new way of being in the world. The wisdom is clear. Justice must prevail if we are to live beyond our fears. But Jesus' way of being makes us nervous. For who are we to challenge the power of empires? The biggest, baddest perpetrators of violence are all around us. We fear for Jesus' life. We are afraid that we cannot embrace what Jesus taught us. We long still for a superhero to save Jesus and to save us from our fear. My God, why? Jesus, the perfect one, why does he have to die? Our fear looms large, and our God becomes small, smaller than the vision Jesus offered us of the divine mystery. Jesus' vision of the Abba with which we are one is too much for us to bear. For if we are one with the divine, then it is we who have forsaken Jesus. The parable does its work, but we are afraid, so we forsake the parable. We turn Jesus, the ultimate nonviolent resistor, into a sacrifice to violence. The parable of Jesus becomes the myth of redemptive violence as again and again we seek refuge from the reality that justice seeking is dangerous. So we narrow our gaze to a smaller vision of the mystery as we retreat into the ancient longing for a superhero to save us from ourselves. Jesus Abba is reduced to a more manageable Father, whom we placate by sacrificing Jesus. We confine the power of the myth so that the truths it reveals can be managed. We are afraid to embody love, to forego violence, to seek peace through justice, to be love in the world. So our fears echo the shouts of those who cry, "Crucify him, crucify him." And once again, Jesus is sacrificed to placate the gods that we have become. The parable of Jesus takes us into the darkness of our very selves as love dies in us, sacrificed to our fears. The parable of Jesus leaves us with but a glimpse of peace, pointing, as Jesus does, to a mystery beyond our fear, beyond the power of death itself. My God, why? Until we see that we are in God and God is in us, we will not see that we are the ones to whom Jesus cries, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Will death have the final word? Can love rise in us? My God, when will the violence end? My God, when will we put an end to the violence born of fear? My God, why have we forsaken Jesus?